Hey everybody, it's Trisha with Chocolate Musings, and today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I am going to draw some cute mushroom houses and then paint them with this gouache paint that Chalkola sent me. So let's get started. If you want to see the sketch portion of the creation process, I will upload a different video with just the sketch so I can talk about a little bit more of my process there, but I am just going to get started painting. Just getting some good colors here that I want to use. Maybe a little bit of peach. Let's see, let's start with the yellow. When you're mixing up gouache, you really want it to have a consistent texture. And I like my gouache just to flow. Let's see, let's paint this guy yellow. This may actually be a little bit too thin. Basically what I've found is painting with gouache, it should just flow like butter. And I generally am able to paint for a very long time with just one brush full. And to fade a color, you don't add water. You want to keep basically the paint to water ratio the same. So you don't add water, but to fade it out or to make it lighter, you add white. That little yellow mark, that whole yellow house was with one brush stroke. All right, what's next? Let's do teal for this guy. This is already mostly dry, so I can just add color right next to it. Otherwise, it could bleed together if it weren't dry. Gouache dries a whole lot faster than, I need more paint and more water mixed together. Keep that consistency about the same. I forgot what I was saying, but with gouache, you can either use it more like watercolors, or you can use it kind of like acrylics where you build on the layer after layer, and then you add white on top. So you can either paint to light or paint to dark, meaning, so you can either paint with more transparent layers and add color on top of color like you do with watercolor, or you can layer it like you do with acrylics and add light to the top. Pretty much with watercolor, you start with the light colors and then you build up colors from there. With acrylic, you can start with either the light or the dark, but it doesn't matter. Because of how opaque it is, it just covers up what's underneath it. I want some spots to be red, but I don't know what color I should paint this one. Maybe I should do this one orange. These paints are so smooth. This is on Canson watercolor paper. It's cold press, and so it's not completely smooth paper. But these paints are very smooth, and I've found a consistency that I really like. So it goes on thick, but not overly thick. Like this one, actually, I put a little bit too much on, and so it'll dry with some paint lines. But if you go over it, you can smooth out those paint lines, and you end up with just this flat texture. And these will dry opaque but they also dry matte, so you won't have any shine on them. So later when you're trying to take photos, they will photograph beautifully because they will have no glare. Just keeping my paint consistency the same so that I don't get obvious differences when the paint dries. And the paint, lighter colors will dry darker and darker colors will dry lighter. So that is something to keep in mind. When you put down a black, it'll fade to kind of like a dark charcoal. So if you want black, you're going to have to reapply maybe a couple of layers. What I'll do is come back, and the other thing, let me finish my thought. What I'll do is I will come back and add some additional layers and some additional blending. I love to add shadows. And if you come back to the paint, it will reactivate with water. So be very careful how much water you add on top, how much your next paint layer has, because you can reactivate the layer beneath it. And depending on what you do, you could make some mud. And just like watercolor, you want to make sure to let the layers dry completely between coats, otherwise you will make mud, and that's not fun. I mean, if you're making mud, great, but usually mud is not desirable. All right. The purple is still a little bit wet because of how thick I put that paint on, but teal is dry, the yellow is dry, and actually so is most of the orange already. Now you can reignite your palette. Oh, here we go. It's not as easy as watercolor, so just keep that in mind if you are using a large amount of paint. Some paints are better, some clump up after you try and re-wet them, but for the most part I've had pretty good experience with it, especially the outer parts that I've already mixed. Maybe not so much with the, like, got some yellow here that is got a bunch of paint there that I didn't spread out very well. And I added a lot more water than maybe I would otherwise. So this goes on a little bit more transparent, treating it more like watercolors in this case. But that is totally optional. I could have a thick line if I wanted to, and I haven't quite conquered that style yet, where you have the thick lines and you can tell, oh, here's a shadow, and so I'm still working on that. So this is a tide over from my watercolor use. So this is the look that I would like to practice. So maybe I will practice not blending and have some hard lines here, because you can kind of do that with these gouache paints. The thing that I can't get over with this gouache and maybe it's these paints, maybe it's not. I haven't used a whole lot of gouache, but it is how smooth everything is. I would definitely say that this gouache would be a good option to try out. So I have to say I like the stark lines more than I like trying to blend. So I actually may come back over and I don't know. It's pretty cute either way. I don't know that I have to really make a choice. See how far this paint goes. I'm astounded by it, actually. It helps with consistency of color, for sure, because you're not having to re-dip your brush so many times, but I am astounded by how far this goes. A little very much goes a long way, and it's very consistent. It looks really nice. All right, blue door. And then I'll go back through it. I know I had stripes there, but that's what it is. Let's see. I also feel like they would have some blue stripes here, but I need to change out my brush because I try and do too much with a bigger brush, and I really need to do a smaller brush, change it out to get the details. Evidently, these are not meant to be hidden houses because they are very bright. I feel like they're very happy gnomes or whatever that live here. I don't think grumpy gnomes would live in yellow houses or orange houses or teal houses. That's just my take on it. So all of this is being applied. Well, it's kind of wet on dry. It's kind of a mix between dry on dry. If you've used watercolor, you know that term. But this is very dry paper. But I feel like the consistency and how long each color really lasts on the brush, I feel like it's got really a great quality to it. While I'm here, I think I will do this little bit around here, blue. I think I may actually do these polka dots blue too. And I've neglected this one a little bit. I'm still trying to decide what colors to do for that one. That I've got came with 36 colors, so I should be able to figure something out, right? Sometimes when you mix water, look how pretty that color would be. That is from, what color is it from? It's from the red and the blue, and I just dripped. And I haven't even begun to really blend colors. I'm reigniting this a little bit because I forgot to do the inside of this window well. This darker orange color. Let's darker blue. I love this blue. This blue is called Prussian blue, and it is very dark blue, and I don't know, I really love this color. Very dark blue. I feel like it could be mixed very well with this sky blue. Get a little bit of shadows happening. So here's the question, do I paint the insides of the windows dark? Are they home or are they gone? I'll paint them dark if they're gone. I will paint them in yellow if they are there. I think I want to mix a little bit, I gotta find it, this teal color with the Prussian blue. That'll be some pretty colors. Let's get this on here. Adding the white to this actually kind of made it more gray. Changed the tone on it. Blue and the turquoise and the white mixed together kind of made it like a dusty gray. Ah, that's cute. You know what? They probably would have this yellow house. They might have a purple roof. If you get the right consistency with gouache, you can apply it dry on dry and not get the dry brush strokes. I like how neutral this peach is, and I would not call it peach, but that's the name on the label. So I'm calling it by the name it's given me. I would call it more of a buff titanium. It's probably a little bit darker than buff titanium, but that's the color that I would equate it to. I need to switch to a smaller brush. I would mix it up with this large brush, and then I hate to waste the paint that's on it. This peach is a very opaque color, so it can take on this red. I probably will need a couple of coats, but it can take on the red and fix where I blundered it. Those are turning out to be super cute, and for the most part, I bullet journal. I really like to use artwork in my planner and create every month. I think that these whimsical, fun little mushroom houses are gonna show up in my bullet journal very soon. All right, let's see if I can reconstitute this brown. I don't want a watery constitute. I don't want a watery. I really wanted to have a good thick constitution. I'm not thinking of the right word. I wanted to consistency. I wanted to have a good thick consistency, but I'm not getting that right now. When I try to reconstitute it. So I'm just gonna rebuild the color that made this brown. It was orange, and then I used black. with the orange, and then I mix it with the peach. And I just need a tiny bit of black. It does not need to be a large part at all. And then I need some more peach here because I do have some accent areas that I would like to add some shading to. Mix up the black and the orange first. Okay. And I've got a nasty color. And then add in my peach. And that makes this lovely tan color. Could be the color of toast or other baked goods. All right, I've got some shading. Now I need to add a little bit shading to the red. I put a bit of shading around these mushroom circles. It may make it seem like it's not flat and that these are actually protruding just a bit. And then what I can also do is put a little bit of white accent on just these red parts so that it gives it more texture. Then if I wanted to do the reverse on the side, and I can also, with that, I can also add just a little bit of shadow around those. Because the reverse is adding a little bit of a shadow to make those feel like they're popping out. And I was just about to say the way I make the shadows is do a half circle around it, but I messed that one up. So the ideal way to make the shadow is to do a half circle, or I guess a crescent, around these circles. Same thing goes with these. They need a little bit of shadow on this side, so that they look like that they are extruding from the mushroom cap. These are turning out so nice. I love the bright colors. These colors are very, very bright. I am a big fan of how bright these colors are and how they stay very consistent. I didn't use this green. I had squirted it onto my palette, but I didn't use it immediately, so I'm trying to see if I can change that paint glob into something that's usable. I just want a consistent texture with it, so hopefully I'm able to get that. Oh, those are cute. Let's see, the last thing that I need is to paint in the little road. Let's see what I've got here though. Got some yellow ochre and let's do, I think, some burnt umber. And then what if we mixed in, I'm gonna do a little bit of rose gold. This is a metallic, and it's kind of a coppery, but if it can pick up some of the shimmer, I think that would be really cool. Mix that in. Brown dirt color, which I'm going to very loosely mix this because I kind of want some variations in it. Didn't get enough water. When I see the strokes like that, I'm like, oh, this is not enough water for what I want to do. I'm not seeing the rose gold. Maybe I just didn't put enough in there, but maybe when I hold it up to light, I can see kind of the shimmer. I feel like this guy added an extra touch to his roof. Adding a bit of grass around the path. I think to kind of bring in the foreground where I'm not going to paint everything here. It adds, again, a bit more texture, makes things pop a little bit. All right, there is how to paint some whimsical, fun mushroom houses with gouache paint. And I have been excited to share this time with you. Thank you very much. Hit subscribe, leave me a comment, and I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks.